Jag minns ju den tid du gav mig life-bilder, yo. Nu vill jag kunna ge tillbaka allt jag inte kunna ge förut. Det finns ju ingen annan där som kan stå här by my side, oh why. Sättet du rör på det får mig att dö för det, baby. För de här yardis, de vill ju bara dra ner oss. Men du är fett och vanlig. Och det jag lägger all min tid och jag vill ha det. Du får mig känna safety. Jag kan nog leda, baby. Och jag kommer aldrig ändra mig. Aldrig.
Greetings. What's up, y'all?
What's up?
Hey, Dominic, Chief O'Day, how y'all doing, man? It's been a minute. It's been a minute, but we back on the scene.
Yes, sir, we're back.
Yeah. It's all good here in Orangeburg, whether it's changing, things are happening. What's going on with you guys?
Man. The weather changing in Africa, man. You got the sick weather out right now. The flu is everywhere. The rain is drying up. And the hot season is coming, so, but it's good. The weather is good.
Yeah, I'm happy about the weather change, man. I'm a fall person, I like to wear my, I wear boots all year round, but I get to wear my jackets and all that good stuff. So,
for us here, college students are back in town. A lot of activities going on.
Yeah,
things are shaking here in the Berg.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, for sure. For sure. I know we got some things coming up out there we're going to talk about here. Let me see. I think I got some photos, some things we can share. Hold up. Let me see what I got here. Okay, I got some banners. So y'all can check the banners out going across the bottom here. First of all, we got 3 announcements to make today before we get right into our show. And by the way, please share this, like this. Y'all get ready for this dynamic show. We got 3 very powerful brothers, warriors here today with us. Brother Omari Fox, King Shakur, and Opollo Johnson. They'll be out here in a moment to introduce themselves and give y'all what y'all waiting for. But please, for now, like, share. Y'all know what it is. Get ready to make comments and engage our guests. So, first of all, watch the bottom of the screen to tell you what's going on. All right. So I released a new book called Gullah Sovereignty, African Communalism, and the Kafu model, the Manding Kafu model. Very, very good book. I advise everybody to go out there and check it out. I'm working on trying to get it available online through Amazon so people can make purchases all around the world. But for now, you can get it in ebook form. Very, very powerful book talking about the need for sovereignty to be restored within the Gullah Geechee community and really within the general African diaspora and African community. We really got to get back to our roots and explore the models that worked for us in the past and see how they could work for us now in the future. And then also we have, coming up next, we have the Gullah Nation of North America. We will be hosting the first annual Orangeburg Landing Ancestral Remembrance Ceremony, October 18th, 2025, Orangeburg, South Carolina. The good thing about this is that we know that our ancestors were brought upriver from Charleston, from the coastal areas, along with all the other goods and everything else that the Europeans shipped inland. And we realized that Orangeburg Landing is one of the main landings of our ancestors who became the native-born Black American people of Orangeburg County. Many of our ancestors were the first step foot in Orangeburg, right there at Orangeburg Landing. Today it's a public park. People don't know the history. We'll be going out there to remember our ancestors, to honor them, and also to keep it going every year so that as time goes by, the young people pick it up and they realize that we have this place that's special to us because all of our ancestors may have, in one way or another, at one time or another, touch base at Orangeburg Landing. So we'll also be doing that. Stay tuned for that, October 18th. If you would like to be involved, get in contact with us. Y'all know Baba Akimo, y'all know Dominique Holiday. Get in contact with us. We're looking for more people. If you have drummers, we would definitely love to play some drums out there, And then moving forward to the last announcement, we have the special announcement of the second annual Gullah Geechee Orangeburg Gullah Geechee Heritage Festival is back, March 28th, 2026. And it'll be at the Gonona headquarters, the Cosmic Green spot right there in Orangeburg on Charleston Highway. is going to be better than before, as we intend to do it better, bigger and better every year. But this year, we're really planning to get this thing well established, and that's why we're launching it early on, so we can do it big for the people. But other than that, Baba Kimo, would you like to introduce the guest?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, yeah, these three guys here. I know I'm connected to one of them. One of them is my cousin. One of them is Omari Fox. He's a cousin of mine. The other two gentlemen I'm meeting, they're progressive young men. I think the name of their group is the New Danger Crew. I know Omari is from my area, uptown in the Bronx. The other gentleman, I believe Opollo, just told me he's from Savannah. And I believe King Shakur is from Texas, the Dallas, Texas area. But anyway, these three guys, we're going to bring them out and let them chop it up for us and tell us what they got going on. The New Danger Crew.
Absolutely. With no further ado, I'll bring our brother Omari Fox first. Peace and blessings, King. How you doing?
I'm good. Greetings, gentlemen. How's everybody feeling?
Doing great.
Well,
doing better now.
Yeah,
better now. How you doing?
I'm well. I want to give all the branding credit. So Brother Opollo is I work with his organization. I'm on that team. It's called The Bigger We, and he'll tell a little bit more when he comes on. And King and myself co-founded the crew. You know, in the year 2000. I went to Benedict College. He went to Allen. We came together. It started as poetry, and it just kind of spawned into a movement. And we've been culturally organizing and community organizing ever since. So they'll tell a little bit more about their path to organizing and such. But glad to be here.
I'm gonna bring them out right now. Welcome, Brother Opollo. How you doing, brother?
Good morning. How's everybody?
King Shakur. How you doing, man? We doing good, man.
What's up?
So I'll just jump right in. I'm Opollo Johnson. I am an organizer here in Savannah. I work with Omari. Together, we have founded The Bigger We. And it's kind of a concept that came through conversation, moving through spaces. I would hear people from day to day say that they've moved here and they just didn't feel connected. And I would ask why. And they would give me various reasons as to their disconnect or just kind of apathy. And so I got to thinking about it more and more, and I kicked it around with Brother Omari and another older gentleman named Tom. And we decided to create this concept of the bigger we, which is organizing the organizers and letting conversation be an action step. Everything begins with a thought.
That's powerful.
That's
very,
right.
Very powerful.
Right.
Very powerful. I have an elder who says it's not about you or me, it's about we collectivity. He says it all the time. That's Baba Shakur. Shout out to Baba Singor. Shout out to Baba Singor. So Brother Shakur, how you doing, King?
Man, peace to you all, man. Sorry about me being off camera right now, but I'm doing well. King Shakur. I am from Dallas. I'm not from the Dallas area. I'm from South Dallas, born and raised. That means something to me, so I have to say it that way. Because South Dallas is like any south side or west side or east side of, one of those ghettos that you're from. That's my heart. That's what groomed me and helped make me into who I am. So I always want to shout out my community and where I'm from. Like I said, met Omari back in like 2000, so we've been rocking ever since. Helped co-founded, New Danger, but also I'm the founder of Volunteering While Black. So we focus on volunteerism in the African diaspora and celebrating it, but also working and helping out and building communities. And, we use art for activism, and we fight every day. I DJ at least one free event a month for nonprofits and community organizations, using music to spread joy, and also Omari and I are working on Black men focusing on mental health. We have an event that we do called He Gon' Cry in the Car, which is coming into his fourth year in Dallas and third year in Columbia. And we stay going across the country. So excited to be doing this work and be on this morning.
It's powerful. Powerful, man. We appreciate you guys coming to the platform, especially because a lot of the people who follow us are local there in Orangeburg, and Orangeburg has a lot of issues with our young men, our young brothers out there. And it seems like we need some sober-minded men to really like have a serious conversation with the young boys out there, man. What would y'all say to the young brothers and sisters out there, you know, who's watching the show? And a lot of people from all over watch the show. Like, you know, I'm in Sierra Leone. We got folks from all over the United States that tune in. If they're not here live, eventually they're gonna come on. So, what would you say to them in terms of being focused as Black men? You understand right now?
Yeah, I can lead off. Well, A1, I'm a OW alum. I did my last year of high school in
Okay.
Orangeburg. So I did my first years in Fame High School in New York. Didn't appreciate it, flunked out, and finished up in Orangeburg. So I say that to say, you know, certainly the African connection, the Southern connection, and then the migration to New York. So as much arrogance as a New Yorkers typically have, coming here, I've been embraced, and I've learned to embrace the love and the culture, which I feel might be disappearing a little bit in terms of eye contact and how are you really checking on your neighbors. We all kind of citying up a little bit, and I think just fundamental, you know, putting the neighbor back in the hood is a vibe that I try to encourage in any community that I work in, rural, urban, whatever the case may be. But to Orangeburg specifically, I think you certainly got to honor the Orangeburg massacre. That's a pretty traumatic, you know, 50-something year tremor that still kind of is happening. But there's several other things to stand on in Orangeburg. And that pride, I think, is something that we got to elevate. And I like it when people claim their schools, or they claim like, yo, I'm from Orangeburg, I'm from this part, I came from this housing area. And I think we need to, you know, own some of the systemic things that we might have been placed in, you know, externally, but not in addition to being survivors, you know, we're also innovators and melanated people and creative people and cultural people. So I'll quote, you know, Prince a little bit. Prince always said that we're the most gifted and talented people, you know, in history. And Prince ain't no liar about that. And that's typically how I like to organize center out from, like, what do we spiritually bring to the table in addition to just being the human beings that we are. I think a lot of Black masculinity is rooted in external things put upon us. So to be a thug to me would be to kidnap somebody and bring them somewhere else, tell them they're lazy, but also make them work. And I think after, you know, we all know the 400 plus year story of going through that and constantly hearing that as a narrative, it's hard to not internalize that. But that's not who we are. And when I see people and I talk to people, especially my brothers, that's how I come at them. And they have the right to, you know, level up to that or not. But that's the way I see my people, and I'm always going to be committed to that viewpoint.
That's right. That's what's up. I'm hearing that.
I appreciate that statement. Brother Opollo, you want to touch on that?
Yeah. Thank you. I would tell young men, acknowledge and realize your agency, right? The whole world, especially here in the United States, tries to emasculate the Black man early on, right? You too loud, you too this, unless you're playing sports, right? That's the only time they tell you add value. And I would say, not only are we good at that, but we are thinkers and we are creators, right? And lean into whatever your avocation is, whatever your passion is, whatever that thing that sparks that interest in you. Put your energy into that, because you can find a path forward. And one thing I love about this time, I think this is the great equalizer. Technology has equalized the world for us. And we are constantly excelling, creating, innovating. And as much as they push back with lies and misinformation and disinformation, right? we constantly shine through. Like to harp on what Omari said, you know, for 400 years, you could be told you the worst of the worst, right? You the gold standard for wretchedness. But then you still create, right? From a technologically standpoint, from a thought standpoint, from a mathematical standpoint, you bring or add so much value. Even when in this era, we collectively have kind of taken a step back. What do you keep hearing? Oh, well, when are you all going to step up? Well, I thought we were the problem, right? So it's, I would say this is a time to recognize your agency as Black men, right? It is the most valuable thing you have. Any given time, you can say, this is who I am and what I am, and then actually make the steps to bring that to fruition.
That's right.
So agency is the currency of the 21st century.
Absolutely. Do for self. That's right.
That's
Do for
powerful.
self.
That's powerful. Yeah.
Take your action.
Words to
Baba, you got something?
Oh no, I was just saying that was a powerful statement. I was waiting to hear what the next brother got to say, King Shakur.
Yeah, Brother King.
Yeah, you know, not a whole bunch to add on. I think what Opollo gave or like spot on. I always like to tell young people, find your lane and run hard and fast in that lane. Right? That we don't have to continue to try to be in so many different lanes, and it's okay to stumble on your way to finding that lane as long as you learn from it. Because that's the biggest thing. And then also find your tribe, because we can't do this thing by ourselves. And I know it's a lot of individualism in this world, but if we read and we understand, individuals don't beat systems. Organizing does, and we can individually succeed and still be trapped in a system, and we are there now. We're literally there now, and so I always say, find your tribe, and build with that tribe, but also understand what your lane is, and just be amazing in your lane, and also lean on who you need to lean on. Like I said, one of the things I think that hurts us the most is we think it's beaten to us that we have to be everything for everybody. And we can't, because you be everything for everybody, you're nothing for yourself, right? Like I said, you can't pour from an empty glass. And we're continuing to try to do that and wondering why we're exhausted and we're tired, right? And it's hard to fight and fight a good fight being exhausted and tired. So it's okay to sit down. It's okay to reflect. It's okay to ask for help. We have to be there with each other. So I just want young people to understand that, man, because sometimes they think that we trying to tell them you have to do all this by yourself, and that's just not reality.
That's right. That's right. Those are words to apply, man, especially in what we're going through now. And I'm glad you said stay in your lane, because that's something I champion for myself. Stay in your lane, and wherever that lane leads you, go to it.
That's real.
Oh yeah.
That's all very real, man. What I see is, I'm just going to give my opinion on this here. There's a fear amongst young brothers to reach out to older guys, to ones who walk the path, so to speak. I saw that a lot working with the public for years. Too many young men were scared to ask for help. So how do you? It was hard to reach them. So how, with the strategies that you guys use, how can we reach them?
I can lead off. I do think brothers need to be, for lack of a better word, a little more spiritually arrogant about being good men. I think we see the bravado and that strength coming from the street. And my problem with the street is not owning it. Maybe out owning the traumatic things that happen, but not owning the land. So to me, that's inherently not gangster. off rip. And I don't think that owning crime culture that was kind of put onto us is something to stand on anyway. But I won't condemn the street because I don't think any, brother who just wakes up and said, this is what I'm going to do. Speaking of family and my cousin, we just happen to come from a bones and a stock where you're pretty much commanded to own your gift and talent and operate in it. So, for me, my dad's Jamaican, and West Indian culture is all about education, whether the father or the previous generation had it or not. And even hustlers, hustling Jamaican families, you still got to hit them books and, this, that, and the fifth. So brothers like ourselves, we gonna have to go to our younger brothers. In a way, I feel like it's almost not their job to ask, but we as elders with the wisdom and the know-how, we gonna have to go to them. And I quote Brother Furious Styles, Brother Fishburne, we can't afford to be afraid of our own people. When I'm out in community, like I said, I don't go in and street energy when you're around it. And you kind of have a sense of who's doing what. But regardless of that, it's not even my place to judge it. Just when I see melanated people or just young people, period, me being a classroom teacher and being responsible for everybody who showed up, no matter what their ethnicity is, it was my responsibility to bring the information to them, to see them understand how they learned, what their likes, their dislikes were, what their personality was like. And I had to call on my wisdom to see how I was going to get the information to them. But it always starts, especially with brothers, you got to have a genuine, authentic relationship. And it's hard for men to kind of approach each other in that way. But I do think as elders and what I call organized guardians, OGs, it is on us to, step to our brothers and be like, yo, brother, what's good? How you feeling? How are you really? I see you, and then on the next time, to run that back again. And then if you got something to invite them to, like, hey, we gonna build some brothers over here at the library. I host readings. I work with a sister who has a black bookstore and things of that nature. So where we can extend an invitation to brothers, we got to do it. But our close are saying we have to go where our people are. And as organizers, it's not always, yes, it's people's self-efficacy. I get it, but everybody's not wired like that. So we're going to have to go to where our people are and bring the information and the conversation to them and give them the choice to hear it or not hear it. But I think that there's enough of us across the country who might be operating in silos. So we as good brothers, we got to know who each other are, much less working with the streets. So I'll just close with that.
Hey, because before I go to Brother Opollo, I got to ask you this real quick, because I know we share the same grandfather. What side of the Bronx you was on? Because you was on the Grand Concourse?
Nah, then I ended there. That's where my auntie lives. She still has a condo out there at Concourse Village. So that's where when I go home, that's why I stay. But I'm on Northeast Bronx, so the Valley.
Okay, because
Eastchester Road, Gun Hill, and there.
Okay, because I grew up on near Concourse Village. My father-in-law was in Concourse Village. That's where that's where I knew Blanche and Caroline from.
That's they still got the spot out there, the Concourse, and Caroline lived in Harlem World for a minute.
Okay.
So
And see what I told you, Chief? I be representing the Bronx, son.
For sure, to the fullest.
That we know.
To the fullest.
Most up toppers got Southern roots, so we need to own that and stop doing that. That y'all, it's all us. I had to learn that though. I was that guy at first, but too much love out here.
We talk about that on the show all the time, man. Because we got the Orangeburg connection, but we all in different parts. I was born in PA, but I got the Orangeburg connection. You know what I mean? So it's just knowing your roots and connecting there. I can appreciate what you were saying about we have to go meet the young men and women, the little boys and little girls where they at, with program, with organization, with answers. Because one thing I had when I was young was I had a whole bunch of questions about life, about the decisions I had to make, but it wasn't always people there who could help me, make them decisions, help me rationalize it. So I can appreciate what you're saying in terms of like going out to the people and having spaces where they can come and interact with mature adult males that got love for them, and that want to put them on the resources and, show them the right direction. Like you said, guardians, right? Very powerful, very powerful. Brother Opollo, I know you definitely got something to add to that.
I would kind of jump right on what Omari said. Owen and I work together. We work with a coalition of different groups here. We meet them where they at. So one of my hats is I'm a program coordinator with the Harambe House here. Harambe is Swahili for Let's Pull Together, right? We've been a nonprofit that's been in existence since 1990. It was founded by Dr. Mildred McLean back in the 70s. And I mean, she's just a powerful, powerful woman, right? And she's provided us a platform to do youth workforce development, workforce development, youth affairs, climate and environmental justice. So we are actually in and on the ground meeting folks where they are, right? So I want to break the ice because I understand that the culture sometimes tells us that we have to keep this game face on, right? And we have to, be stoic in all spaces and places. Yeah. And so I want to make that first step, right, to the young men and let them know, look, I'm accessible. It's open. And from there, we also go to the halfway houses because so many of our youth find themselves in the school of prison pipeline, right? Under education gives one a really myopic focal point, right? Oh, I can make my money in the streets, or I can do it like this. And what we understand, at least from my own personal experiences, right? Because as I shared earlier, I spent some years in prison. We have to be able to offer our youth alternate opportunities. I was listening to something earlier this week, right? And it was a music executive. And he's over the Universal Music Group. And he said he specifically sought out artists that promoted substance culture, his words, right? Because they had a big and gave them a bigger platform because they were influencers. Mm-hmm. And when he was questioned on that, and mind you, he's of a different racial background, and and the question was, well, aren't you perpetuating harm on the Black community by offering this platform? He said, well, I got mouths to feed. Wow. So we have to look after ourselves because our youth are our mouths. We got to feed our youth, both mentally and physically and spiritually. So I appreciate the question, and I hope that answers it. We just have to, at least I believe in taking the first step over and over again. If it's a second step, it's a third step, it's a fourth step. We work with, so we, especially I have observed that we in the Black culture as a whole have a respectability issue, right? We're very quick to discard our folk, our youth for a misstep, right? Well, other people, they're going to save theirs over and over and over again. We'll castigate ours and kind of throw them by the way. Oh, they are incorrigible. No. We understand. I'm a social scientist by training. The brain isn't fully formed till you're about 26 years old, right? So if the brain isn't fully formed, how can we expect our youth to make fully formed decisions? And we also know that males biologically matures slower than females, right? So if you have both of these facts that are now proven, why would we just discard our youth for missteps?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
powerful. Yeah.
That is called growing pains for a reason. You
Yeah.
grow, and there are some pains that come along with it, and eventually you learn from that pain. Right? It's just like touching the hot stove. Right?
Yeah.
Once you learn not to do it again. Well, once you get burned, you learn not to do it again.
That's right.
Unfortunately, my personal experiences with the street culture is that kind of self-preservation mechanism has been short-circuited because brothers will go do the same thing again and expect a different result. And I think that's what we need to be trying to disrupt.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Brother King?
Like I said again, just adding on to what and Opollo has said, is like, I appreciate that, and I think we always have to continue to start with as young as we can find them, right? I think you have to start feeding into them at a very young age. I always say one of the things that I appreciate most about my oldest son is I think he taught me how to be emotionally mature, right? I don't think I knew how to do that. In my early 30s, I had to learn how to step back and apologize to myself so I can learn how to apologize to people. So when I'm working with these young men, and we gonna get on them when they mess up, but do I make sure to step back and apologize if I wronged them, if I messed up, because I'm mimicking behavior to them. If I want them to see behavior a certain way, if I'm not giving it to them, how do I expect them to give it back? That do as I say, do as I do thing went out the window a long time ago, right? So if you can see a thing, you can be a thing. And a lot of times they're not seeing a thing. They're seeing certain things, right? Because who's in their life consistently, like if a consistent destruction or idea of destruction as a male is in my role, is in my life every day, I'm going to be that. It's easy for me to see that. But I'm not having consistent, strong men in my life every day, and I'm expected to become this thing. It's a really hard deal. And so, also, we have to go to where people are, meet them where they are. We have to speak certain languages. We have to understand the language they speak. And your conversation and connection to them can't be, for the first time, can't be you chastising or belittling what their life and what their world is. How you gonna build a relationship with anyone that way? And I think a lot of us step to them, with this arrogance, or also with this air, and so you can't build a relationship with people that way, especially with young men. And so I always say you start as early as you can with them, having real conversations with them, laughing with them, just building genuine conversation. I mean, just building genuine connection, and then you can have conversations down the line because you created this relationship with these young men. And then I think you go from there. You find out what their passions are. You be consistent. You show up. If they're in the sports, you show up to their games, right? You celebrate their wins. If they in the writing, give them books. You know what I'm saying? Give them tools to write with. Just like I said, you continue to build up whatever their passions are, but also introduce them to things at the same time. And I think we have to do that, and we have to, like I said, step back from our arrogance of thinking that we know everything, and being able to make sure that we're learning at the same time while working with these young people. And I think that's how we'll get further together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to add on one more thing about that. From being in the school system, I'm not really obsessed with how other people look at us, but I'm definitely aware. And the street guy is kind of really straight out of, J. Edgar Hoover's imagination. And that's kind of the expectation. And you see like the prison companies, basically owning hip hop, the stock in the companies, and funneling a certain message, that impacts that culture. So I don't want to condemn my people, because I understand, the mitigating circumstances. But what I will say is what is feared, the gangster that I've encountered from trying to participate in the system and, go to school, be an educator, this, that, and the fifth, is the black brain and autonomous thinking. when you're in whether you're in a nonprofit complex, whether you're in the classroom or whatever it is, once you're identified as a free thinker, you don't even necessarily have to be like as hyper black or revolutionary as me. You could just be, of a free mind. And it's like whoever other is, they know who those people are, and they wake up from sun up to sundown doing everything they can to systemically like hold you back. It's because they fear other people seeing a different archetype, and they know that once you see a different archetype, kind of like what King said, and also once different verbiage and things start coming out, and other people start hearing it and it resonates, it's like the whole DEI, getting rid of information. Once you start getting that information, once you start seeing brothers in a different way, all our people in a different way outside of what's put on us, that's the fear. And I get it, because the assumption, in a lot of my poems, I say, I know black people want to just be left alone and don't want revenge for slavery, but I do. You know what I mean? So the assumption is like, once we start thinking and start seeing who's doing what to us systemically, interpersonally, this, that, and the fifth, and start naming those ideas and then organizing against it, that's the fear. And those who they see as the gangsters, I'm not a super Obama fan, but just his presence, and what that meant to the psyche of America, made a Tea Party and made 47 want to run and do all that birther thing and all that. I really believe if Obama wasn't president, dude wouldn't have ran for president. I just don't think his psyche could handle that a black man could ascend to that height. And then especially the way he presented himself. So, for all the quirks, we have about him, I do think it was a moment that maybe we didn't catalyze enough as a different way of being in the world, ascending to that kind of height. But I think here at the grassroots level, we're going to have to kind of gang up, but for the affirmative, and put that force and that energy and that thing that makes brothers want to be a part of it. And I think we come in a variety of ways. Not everybody, we're all different just on this one call. We all got different ways that led us to this call and ways of operating in the world. So we can't box a monolith onto our brothers, but we also can't operate in the one that's been forced upon us either.
Absolutely. I think I got a few questions, man, because y'all just knelt that. But Dom and Chemo, y'all got any comeback for that?
Chemo, go first.
Well, man, what can I say? Chief, it always gives me joy to hear young. I'm assuming that I'm the oldest person on the call right here, right now. I'm assuming that, but like I said, it always gives me pleasure to hear young men talk like this, especially when they blood kin and everything. It makes me know that we cut from the same cloth. You feel me, Omari? So I know your history, I know your family history and everything, man. And like I say, man, it just gives me great pleasure to hear you speak of this way. And one other thing I wanted to ask you, as it pertains to Orangeburg here, I know you got something called the Barbershop Freedom thing, and it has something to do with Orangeburg. Can you tell me a little bit about that? And
so we come finally going in a place where I can come to Orangeburg now. So it started out as the Barbershop Peace Talks. So just kind of community conversation, mini town halls I do between Savannah and the Carolinas, and what I call the drugstore. So CVS. We name the consciousness, whatever the challenge is, whether it's public health, whether it's crime, whether it's relationships. We named the vision of where we want to go. So now that we know what the situation is, where do we want to go? When we say stop the violence, what's the village that you're starting, or what's the alternative culture that we're going to offer to the people that we want to tell to stop the violence? And then what's the strategy? So you can't just leave the conversation. I won't discount conversation, because it's how I sharpen my iron. So I like to be in quality conversations and learn. And I'm just kind of, I can just learn almost by osmosis if something is really thorough. but I'm always wanting to put it in my soul and my spirit and action it. And then that's where the whole going to the people and bringing that wisdom. And me being an educator is really to draw out. And I was always lucky because I was the cool teacher. I was the art teacher. So I had to learn how my students learned. And then I had to not limit them to, my love is visual art or poetry. I had to learn just whatever their thing was and try to draw that out. And that's essentially like how we move with the Barbershop Freedom School. So I will be collaborating with y'all soon. And it's not limited. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a barbershop, but just because that's the place where brothers come together, and it's kind of the community sociological headquarters, for all things neighborhood. But that's basically the intention. So we got what I call Soldiers of Love in Savannah, Florence, Marion. I got brothers and sisters upstate, Durham. So I'm basically kind of taking it to this tri-state area and wherever we're invited. And I just believe in, what they say, slow money is better than no money. So I say that to say, whether it's, one person at a time or spot or it's one barbershop audience at a time, and they work with their neighbors and, on and on and on. That's how we just move center out. Critical mass would be lovely. But even in the civil rights era, everybody wasn't marching and taking it to the streets. So I just think we need whoever is about this life, let's put the gift and talent on display and invite people on board. But I do think we got to articulate a clear strategy and one that works. I don't believe in fighting for fighting's sake. And as the South is similar in a lot of places and even in rural places, but there's also a lot of differences, and you got to honor people's ability to show up, whatever local politics they may be navigating. It's easy to be like, yo, why don't y'all get busy? Y'all see this happening. Why don't y'all get busy? But if you're not from that community and you don't know those inner politics, you don't know when you go to work, hey, we saw you at the rally or we heard you working with that rebel rouser. You don't know what type of stresses those folks are going through. So we got to think on that level of like, if we gonna tell people to take it there, are we willing to support them and walk them through all the way? So I talk 18-month, 2-year, 5-year plans, 20 years, because this is the stuff happening now was mapped out on us, 30, 40 years ago, before crack, all this gentrification and all that was already in the plan. So we got to operate, not to make everything about them as a reference point, but in terms of strategy, that's where we got to take it. And we got enough brilliance among us to do that.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Brother Don?
Yeah. Omari, back to your point when you was talking about Obama, some scholars would debate, was he more symbolism or was he more substance? But seeing him in that position, in that high place, did do something for young Black boys such as myself at the time, because I'm rather young. And it did kind of inspire us to try to reach for higher limits, rather. You get what I'm saying? And also, I also appreciate what you're saying about the level of complexity and diversity within the community. Like, inner workings, sometimes they're not always the same. So being able to address different people in different ways, I get what you're saying 100% on that. So
absolutely, man. I think I wanted to add that what I'm hearing is that we need more trained organizers. We need to create a situation where we can identify and facilitate a process where we can, one, conduct outreach, community outreach, prison outreach to various sectors of the community. Also, team building. You guys make an awesome team. Just having a team of brothers or sisters or both combined together working on the same thing makes a hell of a difference. So just focusing on networking, team building. And another thing that I heard basically across the line from each brother was that this requires for us to reprogram our people and give them emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, the lack of emotional intelligence is what lands most of us in prison. The lack of emotional intelligence is what makes a person abuse their spouse. Lack of emotional intelligence, because they can't control their emotions, right? So I appreciate it when Brother King Shakur, he shouted Brother O out like, yeah, man, he taught me how to be, get my emotions under control, because I see that completely out of control in our community. The emotional, the ego is so wounded, and our people need to heal. And the young people, they're getting beat up even earlier now. By the time they 10, 11, 12 years old, man, woo! You think you're dealing with somebody who done lived 30 years in terms of trauma and triggers, right? And so we already like on the clock. Like right now, we need to figure out how we're going to do this. So for me, I always look at Orangeburg like a potential little Wakanda. Why do I do that? Because we have 2 HBCU educational institutions there, which help us to provide at least access to higher education. It means we got scholars, we got teachers locally, we got people who qualify to lead this kind of movement to re-educate our people. Because that's what we're talking about, re-educating our people, re-culturalizing ourselves, producing a new culture out of the education that we have now today, right? That's not based on emotions. Right now, we're talking about Obama. Obama, a lot of people were stirred by emotions. Just like every election, people are stirred by the emotions of it, the feeling of it. We want to get people to become critical thinkers, get people to look at the options and make the best decision, the best logical decision. And it requires training. It requires for people like us who have made the wrong mistakes before and learned the lessons to want to give the lessons to the people and to create the ways in which we do that. So I just want to really appreciate the genuineness of you guys' work and what you represent as a brotherhood. We got a lot of discussion to have. We got a lot of work to try to do, because Orangeburg is only one place, but we have a situation where we have the majority of the population at the county level and the city level, and most of the towns is majority Black. So we have like a little Africa there that we could really build a new model of brotherhood and sisterhood and communityhood if we really decide to. And so that's a big part of what we're doing with the Gullah Nation of North America. This is why we're doing, the festival that you see going across the screen at the bottom, or we have this Orangeburg Landing Ancestral Remembrance Ceremony. We want to awaken our people to their true identity. Let them know that even after all of this, we're not going to be able to solve our problems without resetting ourselves on the African center. We must re-establish an African center of our values, our worldview, our way of life should reflect more what our ancestors came from, as opposed to what they've been basically forcing us into. This school to prison pipeline. It's manufactured, like Brother said, by the FBI, by the enemies of Black people. And so we have to be the wrench. We have to be the wrench that, that puts this thing to an end. So with that said, I just wanted to ask you also, is there a rites of passage program that goes along with what you guys do in terms of like taking boys from childhood into manhood? Y'all have that kind of component to your program?
Not in a formal way. I typically operate on an apprentice model. So mostly sisters will act like, especially they find out that I teach art. So I have more interpersonal mentees who it starts with art, but obviously as we're working on a critical a craft, then the relationship is building. And that's what I encourage people to do is sometimes an academic meeting isn't for everybody, or there's no follow through. But when there's a named campaign with strategy and outcomes or an initiative, and then while doing those tasks, the relationships build, and then you find out like, oh, hey, my son, can you help him? Can he know he wants to draw? What advice can you give him? Hey, I got a little rapper coming up. Be nice with the wordplay, blah blah blah. It is something I do want to add to the Freedom School, because at least for the next year or two, this is going to be my main work. So I am looking to do it through a cultural organizing team, through the poetry and the arts. So any young folks, sisters and brothers, or there's a parent element to it, that I call Russet Village, to kind of support parents as well. If you know anybody in Orangeburg that's looking for support in that way, I'd love to.
Well, you in the right house, because we make connections all the time.
Yeah.
And so we already want to extend whatever alliances that we have, we extend them to you guys. So whatever we can do, however we can help, Kanona is here.
And King has all types of programming going on and healing elements, and we collab on some stuff here when he comes to Carolina. So I don't know if he wants to lift up some of his work. King.
Yeah. Well, we got some land out there too. We got about 10 acres out there at our headquarters, so we can go out there and do some camping. We can do some training out there. We can do some emotional support training. We do some confidence building training. I think that's the real kind of thing, taking the kids out the city environment, take them out the hood, take them out to the bush, and teach them how to handle their emotions, teach them how to box, teach them the benefits of working out. I think that's really what it is. Get them out of that nasty environment once a week, even if it's just for the summertime,
Yeah. Well, I work with some young folks in Savannah, and we are looking for a landing spot. So maybe there could be they can meet some young folks out in the burg and build some cross.
We got the spot, cuz we got
That kind of reminds me of
let's make it happen.
Allegory of the cave, right? If all you see is that one thing and it's distorted, then that's all you know. But once you come out of that cave, you get to see a broader, wider world. You get to see things for what they really are.
That was the reason. That was the reason for reaching out to y'all, because we build relationships all the time, and this is what we do. And you ain't gonna know unless you reach out.
This is true. So again, that goes back to the conversation being that action step.
Right.
Yeah.
And we try to do it from a Pan-African viewpoint, but we here. We definitely do it from a Pan-African viewpoint.
Definitely Pan-African, but we're also like family oriented and centered. We encourage for people as a movement to know their roots, to know where their ancestors come from, to know if your grandfather was a blacksmith, or if he worked on the railroads, or if he was, whatever he was, to know our ancestors better, to know the things that they did, the churches that they attended, to know what cemeteries they're buried in. This knowledge right here will restore our sense of true identity to us. It's not about what someone telling us who we are when you know 5-6 generations of your ancestry and you know where they were at and you know what they went through. Then you have the motivation and inspiration to say, you know what? I'm not breaking a cycle here. I'm continuing the tradition.
Exactly.
Well, I kind of shared that earlier. So my family is from Aiken, South Carolina. We've literally traced our first relative coming into the port of Savannah as a slave in 1850, right? So my great-grandfather was 74 when I was born, and he was 99 when he died. So I got to sit at his knee and sit in his kitchen and eat his grits and his eggs and eat his sausage and listen to his stories.
Wow.
So I really understand the value of identity, because when you know where you came from, it makes a world of difference, right?
That's right.
Right. It becomes not about victimization, but it becomes about resilience. And you understand that in spite of all of this, I'm here.
Exactly.
In spite of all of you threw at
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
No longer a victim. Now we're victorious. We're transforming the concept, the consciousness. I love that you're from Aiken, brother, because I don't know if you know, but oftentimes on our show, we let people know that there used to be an Orangeburg district. During slavery, there was no counties. Aiken and Orangeburg was the same. Barnwell and Bamberg, all of them was one big district together. And the same people who enslaved us in one county today enslaved us in another county as well, because it was one big district.
So my great grandmother was born in the Bryant Military District here in Georgia, which is on the other side of the river from the Orangeburg District. So I get exactly where you're coming from. Augusta counties.
That's right. That's right. And so, you know, we have a lot of connections. I think I was just sharing with Dom that this brother Nudie Mims from the what they call the Black Mafia family. I never knew he was from Aiken, and I said, wow, another person from Aiken. Right now, the brother 803 Fresh, Doug Furtick with the hit song of the year from Aiken. Mm-hmm. You know, back in the days in my city, York, Pennsylvania, 1969, there was a sister who was visiting her family there during the times of a riot, and she was killed by a gang of white people, and she was from Aiken. Aiken has a lot of history of liberation struggle. Aiken is also one of the counties that the Wanderers went to. The Wanderers was the last ship of Africans brought into the Carolinas, into Georgia and the Carolinas, documented. That was 1858. Mm-hmm. And over 200 of them ended up in Aiken and Edgefield and Orangeburg and Barnwell. So it's a great amount of history. Aiken, in fact, Aiken County is the only county in South Carolina that was founded by Black men.
Prince Rivers.
We're going to have to bring Omari up to speed on, I don't know if you know about Sarah Pedro and Caesar Hart. I don't know. Have you heard those names?
Sound familiar, but I don't know the details. So, yeah, definitely put me on game.
I'm going to put you on point, brother. Mm-hmm. I'm going to put you on point. We descend. I can tell you exactly where we come from in Sierra Leone. I'll put it like that.
So.
I can put you on to our African tribes. I can put you on to who Caesar Hart was. I can tell you the story and say Sarah Pedro. Those are two of our direct ancestors.
We're from here.
From Sierra Leone. I can tell you about our Gullah history. You in the right house now, cuz. You in the right house.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. And Orangeburg needs this. You know, we have a sister in an organization named Dr. Davis. And she's out there in the streets, man. She's trying to get our people organized. She's trying to touch the lives of the needy. And she does the work from the heart. I would hopefully she's watching, because I would love to connect her with y'all as well, because she is the mother of the movement right now when it comes to connecting the streets, the resources, and to education. She's sturdy, bro. She's sturdy.
You may know her, Omari. You may know of her because she's friends with Warren Tyler and a lot of people from OW. You might know of her once you see her face.
Yeah, man. So we're going to definitely connect, man. Some of the things we have planned for our headquarters, the acres that we were telling you about, plan to do like a lot community libations. Like every month we bring people out for a community libation, let them blow some steam, connect with their loved ones, learn how to do that. You know, we have people who teach us, who can teach us how to perform those libations. Also, altar work. A lot of people don't understand how important it is to just remember your ancestors. Just to have a photo somewhere that you get to see it every day and say, hey, mama, you know, what's up, grandpa? It does something to your psyche, does something to you emotionally, and it makes sure that the wound doesn't stay festering. You know, you actually heal by continuing the relationship with your lost loved one. So, you know, we definitely gonna be working with trying to provide our people with a spiritual foundation that's not based on religion, but based on culture and ancestry. You know, there's a lot of things we can do. Definitely, I'm excited about hooking up with Savannah. Savannah is like a mirror of Orangeburg. They got the same exact issues.
Man, I'm glad we had this chance to get together, brothers. And it's not going to be the last time. It definitely won't be the last time. We can definitely build on this relationship. I mean, you brothers are, you know, we won. I'll put it like that.
You're doing the work.
You're
doing the work already.
You know, even with the first slaves, when slavery was outlawed in Georgia, they went over the Orangeburg and the Aiken district and brought them over to work. That's where they came from here in Savannah.
Yes, sir.
That's right. That's right. It's documented. That's right. Man. So the time is about up, man. But I do want to give you an opportunity for last words and where people can contact with y'all, you know, connect with y'all at.
Yeah, I'm on social media on IG as New Danger _ Envision Impossible, and it's just on Facebook is the straight Envision Impossible. So my contact me through there if anybody wants to build. And like I said, I've lived in Orangeburg and I've done a few things here and there, but now I'm in a position to really organize. So I always want to take it to home, my mom's home, and do it at that level. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to collaborating.
I say.
You can reach out to us at _the bigger we on Instagram, or at Johnson Opollo on Instagram.
Right. Thank y'all, man, so much. And we like to definitely again invite y'all out for the first annual Orangeburg Landing Ancestral Remembrance Ceremony. There was a lot of ways that they moved our ancestors around during slavery, and a lot of people don't understand the connection between the low country and the inlands, but the connection is the rivers. The enslaver actually used the rivers to conduct his commerce, and at that time we was a part of that. So they moved us up and down the rivers against our will during the period of slavery. So even as we're saying, we got our ancestry in South Carolina, in Orangeburg and Aiken, do you know if your ancestors came up the Edisto River or not? Because if they did, there's a chance that they could have first step foot inland at Orangeburg Landing. And so we just want to expose that history and bring a crowd out so people know, like, this is not just a few people who's obsessed with this history, but this is the community also responding that our ancestors need to be remembered. We're fighting for a historical marker. There's no marker there to say that, hey, this is where they brought our ancestors to. We would like for a historical marker to be there. So y'all definitely like to invite y'all to that, and also to the festival on March 28th next year.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Put March on your calendars, and this will be our second time doing it, and it should be bigger than it was the first time around. But man, guys, man, great show, man. Great show. I'm glad you guys came to the Gullah House, man. It was, what can I say, man? You guys were the bomb.
Well, thank you. And I want to make connections between us and Harambe House, because we focus on our Gullah culture as well.
Good. Glad to hear that.
Let's build. Let's build.
Nothing
to do but build from here. So thank y'all, man. We'll be in contact.
For sure, definitely.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, brothers. Good looking out.
All right. Peace.
All right.
Peace.
Another banger, y'all. As
well, Chief,
it was a great build with those brothers, man.
You always seem to manage, Baba, man.
Yeah, that was a good call for you, Baba, for just to bring those brothers on.
Another bang. I'm gonna go back and rewatch this because there's a lot of gems that I can apply. So I'm gonna jot a lot of stuff down.
But you know what? That's what you do, Dom. That's why you're gonna win. Cause whenever the OGs get to talking, you sit back with the pen and the paper. You like,
I was taking it.
Hey, Dominique, boy, you getting a lesson here, man. You getting lessons, man.
Yeah.
You gonna be bad, old man. When you get to be our age,
you'll be a bad boy.
You're
bad boy.
You dangerous now, but you'll be even more dangerous in the future.
Thank you, man.
Oh yeah.
Appreciate
educated black man is very dangerous, and if you know his history, he's even more dangerous.
That's right.
Yeah, even more dangerous. That's right. So man, I appreciate that show. Shout out to everybody out there again. Y'all make sure y'all go get that book, and we hope to see y'all at the Orangeburg Land of Remembrance and at the festival next year. We building slowly but surely, man. We continue to build, invite the people out to connect with us, continue to do our research, and bring to you new information on a regular basis. If you're not yet in contact with Dominic Holiday, get in contact and send him a friend request on Facebook. You see my name, Mansa for the Ajamo. I'm friendly. Get at me on Facebook and IG. Baba Chemo, you can find him as Roderick Gass. That's 2 S's, GASS on Facebook, man. Get at us. We friendly, and we really, truly looking to build, especially when it comes to saving our black boys and our black girls. All right? Talk to y'all later, man.
All right, peace.
Jag minns hur den tid du gav mig life billar jag. Nu vill jag kunna ge tillbaka allt jag inte kunna ge förut. Det finns ingen annan där som kan stå här by my side, oh why. Sättet du rör på det får mig att dö för dig baby. För de här yardis, de vill ju bara dra ner oss. Men du är fett och vanlig, och det jag lägger all min tid. Jag vill ha dig,